In talking about responsibilities of directors and officers, board members, leaders of your church, there is a terminology that's used quite often called fiduciary duties. Now, I don't know if any of you have heard the term fiduciary before. It's a hard word to spell, and it's oftentimes thrown around, but not really understood. And to help you understand what fiduciary means, it's actually the Latin root of the word is fides, which literally means faith, which is an interesting connection when it comes to faith-based organizations. The idea of fiduciary duties is that with the responsibility of governance also comes a responsibility to society, to stakeholders in the organization that go beyond just your personal responsibility that you carry every day as an individual. And a fiduciary relationship is one that is founded on good faith, loyalty, and trust, whereby one party, and in this case we're talking about your leaders, are expected to act with integrity and fidelity for the benefit of other parties. And the examples of fiduciaries in a Christian charity would be trustees, directors, and officers. And they owe their duties to a variety of parties within that organization. The duties themselves, interestingly enough, are not written anywhere in code or statute. So you can't go to a federal body of law or a provincial body of law and find these fiduciary duties. The reason for that is that our law is based largely on common law precedent. And fiduciary duties have been established over many, many years through precedents in previous court cases. And these duties are as real as if they were laws, but they are in precedent. Examples of fiduciary duties would be duty of loyalty, a duty of disclosure, duty of obedience, duty of reasonable care and diligence. And these duties are owed by the board members, by the leaders, to the organization and to its stakeholders. And they are for the benefit of donors, the general public. That's the reason why churches and charities have charitable status, so that the taxpayers of the country are recognizing that they are benefiting the people in society, the objects of the charity. In a Christian charity, quite often objects are related to relief of the poor and education, Christian education, for example. And the reason we have charitable status is because we are benefiting society. That's why we have that right. And so in some respects, the board members have to be aware of these obligations. This is a simple way of understanding what a fiduciary duty is and who it is owed to. So again, fiduciaries are directors, officers, and trustees. And what they do is they oversee resources on behalf of stakeholders for their beneficiaries in accordance with the organization's charitable objects. So what does that mean in real words? It means your directors, your board members, your trustees are supposed to manage, use, preserve property, for example, buildings, land, money, investments, and human resources. And they're supposed to act in good faith and loyalty and trust to their constituent members. That could be the members of the church, and adherence to donors and to ministry partners that they work with. And for beneficiaries, again, the beneficiary is the general public. That's why we have charitable status. The programs and the service recipients who we work with and work for. And we're to act in obedience to our organization's objects, our bylaws, our constitution, our statement of faith, our policies and procedures. And our organization could be incorporated or unincorporated, it doesn't really matter. And our charitable objects are our legal purpose, our charter, our bylaws, and so forth, our declaration of trust. So as you can see, it's important for leaders to have a perspective on what their responsibilities are and who they're owed to so that they can do their job properly. Now, when it comes to insurance and risk management, in churches, traditional responsibility for purchasing insurance and protecting buildings, primarily against fire, was the responsibility of trustees. And up to probably 25 or 30 years ago, that was all they really worried about. If our building burns down, how can we possibly afford to rebuild it? And so insurance, of course, is one of the solutions for that. And getting fire insurance on your building was what trustees did as part of their responsibilities. In the current legal climate, however, understanding the right and obtaining the right liability insurance for protection against lawsuits is as important or more important, because the potential damages or losses can actually in some cases be greater than the loss of your building and contents. And the importance is based on the fact that as leaders, you're protecting your organization's assets and resources. And to some extent, lawsuits can also include members, employees, and volunteers as defendant parties. They can be sued as well while acting within the scope of their duties. A lot of people don't realize that. Likewise, if you are a director, an officer, a board member, a trustee, certainly there is plenty of precedent of these leaders being sued in courts, again, for decisions that they make or for policies that they set on behalf of the church.